Hey friends, it's Lauren Taylor. Thanks for joining me in my craft room today. It is technically still the 25th of the month by the time I get this done, recorded, and up on YouTube, but I have had a very busy, well, couple months, let's be honest. But I did get a Christmas card done today, the 25th of May, and I got it edited, and now I'm doing voiceover, and it will be up. It will still be the 25th for me here on the West Coast by the time it gets up, but I still wanted to get some Christmas inspiration done today. I just had a busy day today as well. Things are starting to wind down, but we'll talk about that later on when I get to coloring. Let's jump into what I am doing right now. I am using the Simon Says Stamp Deck the Halls stamp set. There is also a coordinating die, and I just love these cute little images. I've been wanting to use this set, well, since I bought it, but it is a Christmas set, and it definitely is not the highest priority right now, except for when it comes to the 25th of the month. So I'm using it for this month. I have stamped all of my images that I'm going to be using on my card today on some alcohol marker friendly white cardstock. I stamped it with the Sassy Club Onyx black ink, which is also alcohol marker friendly. And for this video, I am using Olo markers. I won't go into too much detail about what colors I'm using today, but you can always pause and see the caps. I usually put it on a piece of tape, but my tape was not sticking to my glass mat. I think because I cleaned it right before starting this video, and I tried to use an older piece of mint tape, and I think just that combo was not letting me put my caps on the tape, but you can see them just under the tape. I did color these characters with inspiration from my own family. So the little girl on the little boy's back, um, she is inspired by my daughter. The boy is inspired by my husband. And this one here with the pale, pale skin is inspired by me. I'm still learning how to use the Olo markers and good combinations. I think it's great that they are kind of named in the same family. As you know, if you've been here a while, I also like using Ohuhu art markers, but those are a little harder to coordinate, at least two shades together, where the Olo markers are similar to Copics in the sense that they are all kind of in the same color family. So like all the ORs are very orangey, and like go into the browns, as you can see here. They're good skin tone colors. Um, anyway, they allow you to kind of figure out what color will blend well with another because they have the same first two letters. So it's been fun getting to use these and get more comfortable with them. They are releasing some new colors, so my plan is to get those at some point. So thank you to all those who watch my channel. For those who use my affiliate links, it gives me the spending cash to be able to buy more markers because you know that that's what I need in my life, more things. But in all seriousness, I really do appreciate those who take the time to watch my videos or use my links. It really does mean a lot to me to be able to support this crafty habit and show you some cool things and some fun things out there in the craft world here on my YouTube channel. So I thought, again, it's been a little while since I've done a color and chat, and while I don't necessarily do videos that I call color and chat anymore, I do like to try to catch up, or at least, talk to myself here as I do voiceover of things that have been going on in my life while I'm coloring, because I am coloring a lot in this video. There's a lot of images, and while the card overall is fairly simple to put together, there is a lot of coloring. So I definitely should have grabbed my pattern paper that I wanted to use on the card before I started coloring. obviously like the hair and skin tone colors, those are going to be whatever color I want them to be. But I usually try to match the colors of my card with the colors that I'm going to use, like when I'm ink blending a background or choosing pattern paper. And I didn't do that this time. I think it ends up looking just fine. The colors of the ornaments and tree and the clothes, they match my pattern paper okay. So I definitely would recommend, if you like color coordinating, all of your colors together, that you grab your pattern paper and have that before you pick colors for the coloring. That's why I tend to usually make backgrounds first when I put together cards, because I know what colors I have in my background now, or my pattern paper or stenciling. A lot of times also needs time to dry. So when I have what my background or the main colors I use for ink blending, I know what colors to choose to match, and there not be too many different shades of the same color, like not too weird greens or too weird blues, like everything kind of coordinates. Now, I did not do that this time, but I did kind of do a rainbow of sorts, like all my ornaments are going to be different colors. And the pattern paper I pick later on has a bit of a rainbow look to it. So I think it all works out in the end, but I just would recommend, if you're doing your coloring first, that you have an idea of what your pattern paper is going to be. Or if you're ink blending your own background, make sure you know what colors you want to have in your background and coordinate that with the colors when you're coloring images. All of that just to say, uh, my colors don't all match too much, but I think it still turns out pretty well. I am, of course, going to color my Christmas tree in green. As you can see, I've been avoiding coloring anything where I don't know what the color is going to be yet. So like I knew the skin tone and hair, fashioning it off my family, and then a tree is usually green. So that's what I picked for my tree. But I do bring in reds for one of the girls' dress and the base of the tree and an ornament. I bring in green again in the little girl's outfit with purple. My husband usually wears earth tone colors, so I did brown and blue for him. And then I just thought, why don't I just make a rainbow of ornaments? So I will have red, kind of an orangey color, yellow, more of a golden yellow. And then I didn't do green, but I did do a teal color, blue, and purple. So I do use the same color green and blue and reds and purple when I color in the clothes. So everything is the same color shade when I color the images. I just don't have the exact same colors that I pick in my background pattern paper, but I do add a layer of vellum that I think softens the pattern paper and just allows the colors to look like they match a little more. Okay, so anyway, to the chatting part of my color and chat segment today. I can't believe that it's the end of May already. It's so crazy how fast this year has been flying by. I just had my last Girl Scout meeting of the year this last week, which is just crazy. It's been so fun seeing this group of girls like age every year and just how much they've changed and how much smarter and more outgoing they all are. It's been really great. Um, but it is also terrifying that all these girls are growing up. But it's been a lot of fun, and I'm really grateful that I'm their troop leader. But they are working on their Bronze Award, which is the third highest award you can get as a Girl Scout, and it's the award for their age level. So I will see them over the summer a little bit because they're going to be working on their Bronze Award over the summer as well. They are working to help little kittens because they are all animal lovers, especially cats right now. So they're working on making sock warmers, which are basically just socks with rice in them that you can throw in the microwave to donate to our local animal shelter. So that way they can heat them up for kittens because they get really cold and they don't have their moms to snuggle with. So it's just to help with the animals, and they can use them also to donate to fosters who like to foster kittens and everything. So they are working on getting donations, and then they're going to be making them, and also working with other Girl Scouts to make them and teach them about how to be a good pet owner and what to do when you see kittens that seem to be abandoned. You want to wait and see, maybe their moms are nearby, so to make sure that they don't just abduct little kittens they see out. I was gonna say in the wild, but I don't know if you would call where we live in the wild, but you know what I mean. So it's been really fun seeing their leadership grow in that. I'm trying not to be too hands-on. It's their project, they chose it. So just helping them has been really fun. So I will get to see them over the summer a little bit, but I am looking forward to this 10-week break of not having Girl Scout meetings every other week. But I definitely enjoy seeing them and how much they've grown. But it is crazy to think that we're almost to the summer. I do have to travel a couple times this summer. Well, 2 times for work, once for fun. Going to go visit some of my family in another state. So I am looking forward to the summer, but I will still be busy, of course. But I am probably going to have to adjust my design team schedule a little bit. I just have been saying yes to lots of things, and I need to learn to have better work-life balance in the sense of crafting as well as my normal job. So um, I love every design team I'm on, and I love the people that I work for and with, but I do need to probably ease up a little bit. So throughout the year, I will be readjusting my commitments, but it shouldn't really affect my YouTube channel and posting. It's more, I love making things for myself and not just for design team work. That's why I really love my Christmas and Halloween videos, because a lot of times they are just something that I enjoy doing. Like, I get to choose what products I work with, and the mix and match products together too, which is always really nice. So while I do love the design team work, I do need to kind of readjust and look at my calendar a little smarter throughout the year. So there shouldn't be, like I said, any major changes, but I might just be doing a little bit less design team work as I take a look at my commitments and kind of narrow it down a little bit. But yeah, I hope that, I know it's been a little slow this month for me on my YouTube channel, but as always, I hope you all know how grateful I am. I love reading the comments. I do my best to respond. And if you ever have questions about what I'm doing, or if you want to see something in particular in the future, I'd love to know your thoughts and what you want to see, because I'm here for you. I know that sounds silly, but I wouldn't be where I am today with the design teams and I guess influencer. I hate saying that. I feel like that's so weird, but I wouldn't be here without you guys. So I am very grateful and very thankful. So let me know if there's something that you like seeing on my channel that you want to see more of. If I should bring back the color and chat videos. I don't really know, what you want to see. If you want to see more with the Ohuhu again, or more with Olos, I'd love to know your thoughts. As always, if you don't like to watch my coloring, you've probably already fast forwarded by now, but I do try to put in chapters in my videos so I can keep your interest and keep you here for whatever you want to see. If coloring's not your jam, you could always skip to the next chapter. So while I finish coloring the last little girl, I'm going to go with a red and white outfit. I was trying to color these characters, like I said, inspired by my family. I feel like the one that's the boy definitely gives vibes like my husband does. My daughter would probably never wear purple and green together, but I was inspired by her Girl Scout uniform because purple and green are the colors for her level. So I thought, let's lean into that. But this is supposed to be a Christmas card, so I thought at least one of my characters needed to look a little bit more Christmassy. So I'm going with a red and white dress. I decided to color in the lights that she's holding with a really pale yellow. I will add some glitter to them at the end of the card making video, but I am a big advocate for white lights and lots of colorful ornaments. I have many, many mini Hallmark ornaments. We get them every year from my grandparents, and they're usually ones that we pick. So it kind of matches things that we're into that year or our personalities and throwbacks to things in our childhood. So I love our tree. I love our non matching crazy ornaments. And because the tree is so colorful with the ornaments, I like white lights on our tree. I also colored the tree skirt black because that's the tree skirt we have. We actually have a black tree skirt with some gold star details. It kind of matches our living room vibe. So this card is going to be heavily inspired by my own personal Christmas time. I use the coordinating dies to cut out all of the images, and now let's flip through this paper pack, and I'm going to pick out this colorful rainbow striped pattern paper and this red kind of speckly looking paper. I'm going to use the red speckly paper to be the background of my card. So I'm going to trim that down to 5.5 by 4.25. I'll go ahead and save those extra pieces for my sentiment. And for the stripy paper, I'm going to cut that down to 5 by 3.75. The way I was going to cut it was going to leave a lot of white on the edges instead of a pretty color stripe. So I did trim down the edges a little bit to get that color stripe closer to the edge of this rectangle. Not necessary, but I just didn't want too much white on the edge. I wanted more color. Now with that layer, I was going to do another layer of paper with white cardstock, but I didn't want to cover up all of that pretty rainbow. So I'm going to trim a piece of vellum to be 4.75 by 3.5. So these are all just kind of like nested in with each other. I usually like to use vellum in this way when I want to have a distinction between my busy background and my images on my foreground, but I don't want to cover the background. So the vellum just softens it and allows me to have a busy card with a busy background, but have that layer of that vellum in between to kind of dull the background a bit. I hope that makes sense. This is what I like to do pretty often when it comes to, like I said, a busy background. So I have enough space to stamp my sentiment on this piece of red pattern paper, and I'm going to emboss the large Christmas from this stamp set in white embossing powder. So I'll go ahead and get my MISTI all set up, and before I stamp, I will use some of my anti-static powder. This is from the Rabbit Hole Designs, and it is by far the best anti-static powder brush out there for embossing like this. I'm going to use a clear embossing ink, and I'm stamping Christmas as well as the rest of my sentiment, which says, "We wish you a merry." I don't like the way it turns out. I think the font is too small, and even though I use a ultra like fine embossing powder, and you can technically read it, I just didn't like it. I don't think it looks good, so I still emboss it so I can see how it turns out, but I know that when I look at it here, you're not going to be able to read that. But that's fine. Let's emboss it anyway. We'll see how it looks. So I'll clean up my powder and heat up my heat gun, and we'll go ahead and melt all of that embossing powder down so it looks like a nice bright white sentiment image. I'll go ahead and finish embossing that weird sentiment, even though I'm not going to use it. And I'll go ahead and let it cool. And while it's cooling, I'm going to grab my VersaFine ink in Onyx Black and just stamp it again in that open space since I have some room. And I'm just going to use my little mini paper cutter and some scissors to cut that out. The Christmas does have its own coordinating die, so I'll go ahead and run that through my die cutting machine. I'm also going to cut 2 more times out of some of that extra red pattern paper, just so I can kind of like bulk up my sentiment, add some dimension without having to use too much foam adhesive. Here I am going to trim out the black sentiment. I'm just using my paper cutter to try to get as close to the black sentiment as possible. This paper is tiny, so I'm just using a little bit of my repositionable mint tape to keep that in place so it's as straight as possible. And then for these smaller ends, I'm just going to do my very best to cut straight with some scissors. So that will finish off all of the parts of this card. So let's get to assembling. Now I plan on gluing my vellum to the striped paper, but because it is vellum, I can't just glue it onto the pattern paper because then you'll see all of the glue through the vellum. So I'm going to start with building my scene onto the vellum and then glue the vellum to the pattern paper and etc. through the rest of the card. So I want to get everything kind of in place so I know where to attach everything to the vellum. So I'm starting with getting my 3 layers of the word Christmas glued together. And then I will arrange on the vellum and striped paper my tree, my sentiment, and my cute little character so I can get an idea of how I want my scene to look. And this is a pretty good rough outline. I know where I need my tree to be. So I'm going to just use my magnet here to help me know where the center of my tree is going to line up. And I'm going to add adhesive just to the tree where it will attach to the vellum. So I'm lining up my tree to that spot where I had my magnet lined up to match one of the lines on my pattern paper. And then I'm just going to press and make sure that tree is adhered down. Next, I'm going to take my Christmas sentiment and get that placed on the vellum how I know it will fit so I don't block the A and the S with my characters, but I also still have room above the word Christmas to add the rest of my sentiment. So once that's in place, I'll press that down. Everything else is going to be adhered with foam adhesive, so I'm just grabbing some foam adhesive in my stash. I did kind of clean up my craft room yesterday. I have a lot of things and I was getting a little overwhelmed because I also keep Girl Scout stuff in my craft room and I needed to put a bunch of stuff away. So I did a little bit of a cleanup and I found this foam adhesive in my like things I needed to put away stash. So it's been really nice. It's not too thick. It's pretty good foam adhesive. It's from Uniquely Creative, I believe. If you have questions about it, let me know. I still think scrapbook.com's 1mm foam adhesive is my favorite. So if I'm going to recommend one, it will be that. But that's why I'm using a different foam adhesive than normal. It's because I found it while cleaning my room. So I put the other half of my sentiment, that black stamp, I popped it up with foam adhesive. I popped up my 2 little characters putting on the star with foam adhesive and same with the little girl with the string of lights. Now I'm using my pickup craft pick from scrapbook.com to figure out where my different ornaments are going to go, and I'm so sorry you're going to see my messy bun here, but I'm sliding one of my ornaments under the word Christmas because I wanted it to go a little bit higher, and I'm just using some liquid glue and most of the time my tweezers to place the rest of these ornaments. I only am going to put 4 on the tree. I'm going to put the other 2 on the ground like they're, putting the Christmas tree together. I think it looks really cute, just having some ornaments just all over the place. And it's a really fun, colorful scene. So now that everything is attached to the vellum, I can flip it over and add some glue. Before I do that, I will remember that I wanted to add white highlights to my images. I meant to do this after die cutting them out, but now is a good as time as any to add those white highlights to my images. So I can see where all of my foam adhesive is, where all my glue is behind the tree and Christmas sentiment. So I'm just adding glue where I know it will be hidden behind my images and my sentiments. So while there is, nothing keeping all 4 corners necessarily stuck to the pattern paper, there's enough going on my scene that there's plenty of glue that vellum is going to stay attached to my pattern paper. Next, I took my favorite 1mm foam from scrapbook.com and added it to the back of this pattern paper and went ahead and popped this up to the center of the red pattern paper. I'm going to take an A2 card, and since it's side folding, since I'm going to be placing it horizontally, so it's still technically top folding, and I'm using my super sturdy Scotch adhesive runner by adding that to the card base, and then I will add my card front. I'm starting in one corner on the folded side, so in case I need to trim off any excess from the card, I can do that. And then I'm using some pops of color in Snowflake from scrapbook.com. It's a clear glitter liquid embellishment, and I'm just adding that to all of the lights, so when that dries, they'll have a bit of a subtle, shiny, glittery look to them. I did notice that I didn't color a spot on my little girl's hand, so I just took a marker and colored it real quick. Here is a close-up look of how my We Wish You a Merry Christmas card turned out using stamps from Simon Says Stamp. I hope you had some fun with me today. I know it was a long video, so thanks for sticking around to the end here. I hope it brings you some inspiration, even though it is Christmas and it's May. But I do try to bring you some holiday inspiration, since that's a pretty big card making event or holiday throughout the year. But I hope it brings you some inspiration today, and thanks for tuning in. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you'll click like, and if you're new here, I hope you'll subscribe and come back. As always, you can find everything I use down below in the description box. Thank you and have a wonderful day. Bye!